What's going on, guys? Wait for some people. What is going on, guys? We are trying this live. Thanks for hopping in. I am going to kind of with some updated odds here. So if you want to I always like to check the line movement here. So I'm just pulling it up. I can't share my screen when I'm on this live, unfortunately. I do have Aves at minus 220 and Simon at minus 250. So Simon still being the biggest favorite. I do think the one difficult thing that we do have with these lower level teams, as we've seen yesterday, is that upsets are very likely. Not necessarily very likely, but there's a lot of variance and volatility to these lower level teams. And I think when and anybody who watched any of the slate from last night, and now we saw that Tiger got 2-0'd by D13, tactically in these matches, it's just a lot different. You know, when you see teams play like Nuke and don't know how to play the CT side of Nuke, then you can tell that the tactics are a lot different. So let's hop into the slate. This is another 2-game slate here for the 9-5-1 slate. Hopefully, depending on when, if DK updates it or HLTV, but the crazy Aves game is looking to be scheduled to start in 1 hour and 20 minutes, even though DK locks in 22 minutes. So put your questions in the chat. I will get to them. If you have any lineup questions or you just want to talk about CSGO. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do that and give this video a like. So Simon Gaming is kind of interesting here. Obviously, they're the biggest favorite, but I do think they have a lot of question marks. We did see them play in some of the top tier tournaments a little while back that they didn't obviously perform very well, but I think they are one of the top teams in their kind of like tier level right now. I'm just going to bring up Simon right now and chat a little bit about what their team kill share looks like. And if you have not done this in the past, remember, if you go to hltv.org, click on the team, go to stats, and then you're going to go to replace with context lineup. So, and I know that you guys can't see this, but I'm going to talk through what I have here and if it's going to work, because Perfecto is not on the team anymore, so that does not work. All right, so in the 36 map size for this team that's playing together right now for Simon Gaming, Moo is at plus 30. The rest are all negative. Now, I think that then we have to look a little bit longer term. I know Nober on his DK name, it's N0RB3R7. It was really like a highly touted player before he came to Simon. I think he came from a bigger team actually and kind of moved down just because his role was not what he wanted it to be there. Keogh's was really solid recently when Simon was on a lot of other slates, but has obviously not performed well lately. So I do think in that matchup, you definitely, I probably would go Moo and Nober, and then probably Keogh's would be my top 3 for Simon, unless you want to punt with Nealon or, you know, Kato, or I think it's Kato is probably the worst of the 5 to choose from. So that's kind of where I'm at with Simon. After watching Aves yesterday, I guess Crazy played really well too against Saw. I think Kai is a phenomenal captain play at 8,400. I think his price is too cheap for his upside. A lot of people used him as a one-off yesterday, which worked out really nicely for them. Okay, we did get the lock time moved back to 10:15. So you do have another 35 minutes to set your lineups. So if you have not set your lineups yet, make sure you do that. Okay, let's get back to Aves. Using Kai at captain role, I really like. Sensei on the other side, I think, is an awesome one-off too if you don't want a full stack Aves. Marcos, I really like, and I put him as a potential core play. Him with the AWP yesterday, especially at Nuke, was just phenomenal. Kyler is a decent value, and Bialy. And he, just learning from watching the stream that Bialy was actually he must be a more veteran player that rejoined them, or joined their team, and he looked phenomenal as well. So I think using someone like Kai in the captain role is going to be really nice, just because he presents upside and they are on the favored side of this matchup. I would not consider now. I think it's Naurat. He's the worst player on Aves, and I don't really expect them to sweep, especially the way that Crazy looked yesterday against Saw. So I don't know that would be a spot that I would consider punting. Looking at value on this slate. So my favorite value, I mean, if you think Simon sweeps, then Cato, I guess it would be viable at 5,000, but I do prefer Kyler at 6K, and I also prefer, and then obviously I like Marco at 6,600. I think those would be my favorite below 7K. If I had to go below 6K, I would probably go to Cato, unfortunately, just due to the fact that I think that they should sweep. So I mean, take that for what it's worth, but that's kind of where I would go. I don't know that you really need to go that cheap on this kind of slate, because even the players, Keogh's and Moo, but I don't know that Keogh's is actually worth 9,800. That's the only problem. So that's why his price is kind of misleading. So that's why I don't mind one-offing here with somebody like Sensei, or using somebody from SG. Actually, I like a lot of I like a lot of players from Crazy as a one-off. DemQQ is a decent one-off. Psycho is a decent one-off. And that game is actually closer, or predicted to be closer. So SG, I don't know enough about their players. I wasn't really considering their side. But if you guys have any questions, throw them in the chat. I will have a recorded normal video that obviously you guys probably prefer a little bit more than this, because it will go through my normal. And I apologize for the sun. Wow. My normal routine for the Mythic slate. And then we will have another 3-game PAL slate tonight, I assume. I know the games are posted, but I haven't seen DK post for it yet. So be on the lookout for some content for that before I take off on my vacation tomorrow for another 4 days in Iowa, where I cannot play DFS, but I will still be posting core plays and odds and statistics in our FSI DFS channel for esports. So be sure to be on the lookout for those things. Again, I appreciate all of the support you guys have given this channel and us as FSI throughout this time. So any questions, lineup questions? We have a little bit of extra time. I'm just going to kind of mess around with a couple of builds here and see where I might like to go. I think if you use Kai at captain, again, I'm talking mostly cash games, and then I insert even Moo and Nober, and then look to somebody like Marco and potentially Kyler. Well, actually, you could go Bialy, and then you could finish with Neelan. So that would be like a nice 3-3 stack, is that you could use Kai, Marco, and Kyler, and then from Simon using Moo, Neelan, and Nober. If you want to get Keogh's in, you might have to go cheaper at captain, somebody like Marco, and then you would be able to get in those top 3 plus Kyler. The only problem is it leaves you a little bit short. You'd have to go down to Cato, and then you'd be eating salary going down to Bialy. So unless you upgraded Marco captain spot, but I do like that 3-3 build with Kai at captain. You're just fading Keels, which I think he's too expensive anyway. Troy just started watching. Wanted to ask, what do you think about the probabilities of SG winning? I think I think it is like a 65% chance Simon wins, 45% chance SG wins. I think it's really close. Even though the odds suggest that they are the biggest favorite on the slate, but minus 250 in these lower level tier matchups, we've just seen so much more volatility and teams just fall flat on their face, especially on certain maps that they like really aren't good at. But I do prefer Simon just because I do think they have more experience at higher level teams. But I'll pull up on my screen. I can't show you guys because I can't screen share, but I'm going to pull up the SG kill share. Bialy has better 3-month data. So I would lean Bialy if salary is not an issue, but I do think it's pretty close. And I could be a little bit biased towards watching Bialy yesterday. He looked phenomenal when I was cheering against Aves when my stack for Illumineer got demolished. So I'll bring up them too. I'm going to bring up Simon here first. Not Simon, sorry, SG Pro for Troy Q or whoever else is listening. I haven't looked close enough at their kill share. Of course, my dog wants to go outside. So and it looks like this group that is playing for SQ, they are 15-15 as a lineup when they've played together. They've only played together for those 30 maps. Looks like S1 NATO RRR has the top rating. Him and Kai's have the best kill the death differential on their teams during that time. So I think like Kai's at 60. I think both of them, S1 NATO RRR and Kai's are really nice values if you stack SG in a GPP, or even if you want to go that way in cash. And then the third is Fame, who is the most expensive player on the slate. So I probably would lean Kai's and S1 NATO RRR if I'm stacking or finding one of those as a one-off. Adam, I think that could boost his ownership, but I do think that is going to be more about a price than necessarily a performance from yesterday. I think more people will need Kyler at 6,000 for the savings if they try to, a lot of casual players, in my opinion, will probably try to fit Keogh's in, even though he hasn't been very good lately. So then I think they will need somebody like Kyler for the value rather than paying up a little bit more for Bialy. And they've played together. Well, Bialy has a career 1,500 maps, but that's not here. Okay, so when Bialy and Kyler have played together in the last 40 maps, Bialy with a plus 47 kill the death difference and Kyler with a plus 23. So they are pretty close. I'm going to look at Bialy as an individual player. A little bit longer term here. Bialy in his lifetime 1.05 kill to death ratio, but let's look in the last 3 months. In the last 3 months, it's a 1.08, so actually performing better than he would have in his career. And in the last month, a 1.21. So I think Bialy's recent form is probably better too, and that is definitely probably what is increasing that price tag for sure. But I do think I do just think Kyler's going to get a little bit more ownership just based on price. Is there any other questions? I appreciate it. 9 people. That is awesome. I appreciate it. I like coming on live because it kind of helps me walk through my lineups too. I think I kind of like came up with my final cash lineup just talking through this. And the people giving a thumbs up, that's phenomenal. I appreciate it. You guys have been super supportive. If there's any other questions here, I'm going to stay on here for a couple minutes. Troy, I think both played so well yesterday. I lean Aves. I do lean Aves. I think, and part of it was like the casters that were doing the crazy saw match were so shocked that that crazy won that easily. So that just tells me, and obviously I haven't watched this tier of CSGO that often, but they were shocked how crazy played. And Aves is a much more well-known team, at least for the public and for them, that they weren't shocked when Aves beat Illuminar, but crazy beating Saw was like they were completely shocked. So I do lane Aves, but that also could be because I really like Kai as in a vacuum as one of the best plays on the entire slate. Sensei is definitely playable in cash. His kill to death difference in the last 3 months is insane. So I think he's even viable as a one-off because I don't think you need to 3-3 stack here. 3-3 stacks obviously work best when teams sweep, and I think there's a high chance that both matches go 3 maps, or one of them gets upset. You know, we've seen that every single day. So that's kind of where I'm at. Any other questions you guys got? I appreciate you throwing out questions, giving the thumbs up. Like I said, I will have a PAL slate content out today. I will have, once that gets posted, hopefully I will get the Mythic slate out probably here in the next hour. That is a 2-gamer, going to be a nice, easy, hopefully Chaos Triumph stack. If you haven't been paying attention, Grim has been one of the best rated online players in the world. He was super chalky at captain yesterday and struggled to his standards, but I do think in our Discord channel we had a nice edge for those of you that went someone like Curry over Spongy or got in Junior. I think the prices were a little messed up in my opinion for DK. So eating some salary actually made sense yesterday with Triumph because I don't think their players were priced in the correct order, which I think happens with a lot of these lower level slates, to be honest. So because they are just based on either the game logs or based on fantasy points per game, which only might include 2 games, even though they've played 30 maps in the last month. So, I mean, don't be a fish that gets fooled by game logs because I think that's the easiest thing to do, to get fooled by. All right, guys, if there's no other questions, I'm going to hop off. I'm going to get prepared for the Mythic slate. Like I said, join that Discord channel if you have not yet. Subscribe to our channel. Give this video a like. I appreciate it. I can't tell you enough how much that helps us at FSI. Thanks, Troy. Yep, game day. Good luck, guys. Looks like we have another at least 20 minutes before lock. Hopefully you guys make some cash. All right. See ya.